Good afternoon and welcome to Design Master Training. My name is David Robinson. Today we are going to be looking at panel schedules in Revit and how to customize them, in particular using the Design Master shared parameters. If you're attending the training live, you can ask questions in the chat box. If you're watching the recording of the training, you can call or email your questions. Our phone number is 866-516-9497. And our email address is support@designmaster.biz. All right, so today we are going to be talking about panel schedules in Revit and what we can do with those with Design Master. In Design Master, we use the built-in Revit panel schedules for our panel schedule functionality. We didn't replace that, we just use what's already there. And the Revit panel schedules work with shared parameters in Revit. So in terms of getting our software to work with them, it's just a matter of getting the right shared parameters being displayed in your panel schedules. So using the framework that Revit already has, just swapping out some of their information with our information. Just as the first step, you need to understand what shared parameters you have available. So I'm actually going to go to a new schedule. So we'll go here in our browser and I'm going to create a new schedule. And this is a good way to get a look at our shared parameters and see what they're doing. We're going to first look at electrical equipment. And here we can put together a schedule just showing the information on it. I'm going to use the panel name. I want to look at some of our disconnect values because you see here in this panel schedule, you've got all these main disconnect values. Some of those we have replaced with our own Design Master versions, and we want to make sure to be using those values in our panel schedule. So I'm going to filter to all the disconnect shared parameters and put all those in my panels, my schedule here. I also want to include the mains value. So that's an important one. So we'll show the mains as well. Click OK. All of that's going to now be displayed by Revit in a panel just a regular schedule. So this is a list of all the electrical equipment, which is your panels and your transformers, and all of the information that is stored on them. Right now, these are all main lugs only panels, just kind of by default, that's what they're set up as. So a lot of this is not terribly interesting. So let's go ahead and make a change to that using Design Master. So we're going to run the panel edit command, and we're going to take that EP2B panel. And right now it's main lugs only. Let's change that to a main breaker. And just for something interesting, we'll set it to 125 amps. If we click off of it, that will actually update everything in Revit. And you can see in the schedule, it now has a little bit more information being filled in about that piece of equipment. It's got the main circuit breaker as the type. It's got that 125 amps. And then some of the other values that don't apply to a main lugs only are filled in. Same thing for this PP2B. We'll go ahead and change that to a fused switch. All right, so you can see the top two lines here, the main circuit breaker, and then the fuse switch option. And now you can see where Design Master is filling information in. So we have this column here with differentiating main lugs only versus main circuit breaker versus fused switch. We've got this column here, which is kind of a combination of the type and then the trip rating. So if you want to have that, you can display that in your panel schedule. And then some of the other information about the trip rating is also displayed. So when you update your panel schedule, you can then use a schedule like this to figure out which shared parameters you want to include. Because when we go to the panel schedule, there's going to be a lot of shared parameters. So it's helpful to know which one you're trying to select. And these columns, if you expand them, you can actually see the name. So that's how you can see the full name. And we're going to want some trip sizes and some other values. In particular, which ones do I want to? I'm going to pull the main disconnect type. So that's this value over here. And we're also pulling the main disconnect, which is the trip size. And that one's here. So let's go to our panel schedule and modify those values. So I go to my panel schedule. To modify your panel schedules in Revit, you go to the Manage ribbon, and you've got your panel schedule templates. And this is where you do all of your adjustments of those. We're going to run the Edit a Template command, choose this branch panel. This is where Revit is defining how that panel schedule is put together. So we can go up here to this mains type that's using currently the Revit mains type, and we can replace it with the Design Master mains type. All of the Design Master values are down in the other section. So you just scroll down and you'll get all of our stuff, and then these are in alphabetical order. And we want to use the mains, it's panel mains disconnect type is what we want to use for the type, and that'll fill in the Design Master value. And then we use the mains rating. The Revit mains rating is a useful parameter, so we use that for the bus size essentially. But then the main circuit breaker rating we replace with our own. So we will change that as well. Scroll down, and I want to use the panel main disconnect trip size. Make those changes. We'll finish the template. You then have to apply the template to your panel schedules. It's a interesting workflow, not how I would have done it, but it's how Revit does it. So you have to right click, change the template, apply those changes to this one. And so now it's showing, and I actually pulled the wrong value. So let's update that again, because I want the DMET. The T versus N is numeric versus text. So we've got numeric values and text values, and Revit handles those a little bit differently. We want the main disconnect text value. Okay, so now we have for the mains type, we have main MCB being listed for main circuit breaker. We've got that rating being listed as well. If we go to a different panel, we need to change that template to use the new template that we've defined. And here, this is a main lugs only panel, so we have MLO being listed. So that's how you can get additional information about the equipment itself up in the header, and it's usually the mains values that you're adjusting. Different people display different information and kind of have different formatting up there. You can use some Revit formulas to help with the formatting. If you go to our knowledge base on our website, you go to support and knowledge base. And then if you search for Revit disconnect, this first article that comes up, main disconnect type formula, has a formula that we've pre-built that you can use. And what we have is this main disconnect type numeric value that's a 0, 1, or 2 based upon the type. You can use that to do your comparisons to get a different value based upon your disconnect type. And it has to be that numeric value because Revit in its formulas can't do any comparisons on text. It has to be numeric. So we have this 0, 1, 2 value, which you can then use in your formulas. And so down here, we have the example of a formula where we're using that. And for a main lugs only, we show the bus size. And for anything else, we're showing the disconnect trip size. I wanted to show a couple other examples. So I'm going to pull up Notepad and just show you the formula I'm going to use. I basically took that same thing, and for main lugs only, rather than displaying anything, I want to display a blank value. So if you have the mains, the breaker rating, if it's main lugs only, there is no breakers, we want to display nothing. And we can use that for the value. We can also use this similar formula for the actual label. So we can turn the whole label off when it's main lugs only. So I will go over to Revit and use those two values. Again, we edit the template. And so we're working with this MCB rating. You can select the field, and Revit has the calculated value button. We'll click that. And here we can put our information in. So this is going to be the MCB rating value. We want to use a text value. And then you want to put your formula in here. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to copy this formula. It's a very small box they give you, so it's a little bit tricky to work inside of it. It's easier to type outside and copy and paste in. Click OK. I'm going to do the same thing here for the actual label. Call this MCB rating label. I'm not sure what else Revit does with that name. So this is just whatever you want to put there. And then we're going to take this label one, put that in the formula. So now we have these two calculated values being used. Finish the template and change our template to use it. And you see that it removed it here because it's main lugs only, so we're not displaying that value at all. Go over to EP2B, change the template, and it's still going to be displaying it because it's actually using it. So now if we go into Design Master, go to Panel Edit, we take that EP2, if we change this back to main lugs only, it'll update the panel schedule and remove that value. If we then again go back to have a main breaker, it will put the main breaker on there for us. So that's how you can use the information for the equipment for the header. The circuits are using shared parameters on the electrical circuits. So let's take a look at the values we have available there. And again, we want to use a schedule to do this just to see what's available to us. We select electrical circuits. I want to show the panel name, the circuit number, and then I'm going to do all of the Design Master values. And there are a fair number on a circuit. Click OK. And here are all of our circuits and the values that Design Master is displaying. So now we can pick out the values that we want to display on our panel schedule. One common example would be displaying a wire size. Less common, but still something that comes up, would be to show the voltage drop on the circuit. So if we scroll over here, we have the conductor wire size. There's actually a wire size and a wire size only. I believe that comes into play if you have a 3-pole circuit. Is it a number 8 or 3 number 8s is what it's going to show. So we can display this conductor wire size in a column. And then we also have, if we keep scrolling over, we've got the voltage drop. So we've got this voltage drop field, so we can display the voltage drop on each circuit. So let's go ahead and add those to our panel schedule as well. Again, we go to panel schedule templates, edit the template. Now we're working down here in the circuit area, so we need to add some new columns. I'm going to make some space, and we're going to put it to the right of the poles there. So I'm going to leave that big. And we can go here to insert a column to the right. The first column will be the wire size. So we'll do the conductor wire size. Second column is going to be the voltage drop. And it puts those in, and nothing is really formatted very well. So you do need to come back here, and we're going to call this wire size. We're going to call this one voltage drop. Put those down at the bottom so they match. You can use edit font to make them bold. And it adds the columns symmetrically, but the labeling and the text of the label is symmetric, but the formatting's not. So then you have to come over here and do that again on the other side. And then it doesn't put any of our grid lines in, so I'm gonna add those as well. Select all of this, edit borders. We want outside inside borders. And then it got a little wonky here with these other borders as well. So we'll put a new border down here just so it all looks nice. Okay, so you make all your adjustments, finish your template, then again, change your template, select the template, and it pulls it in. So now we have the wire size and the voltage drop being displayed, being pulled from Design Master parameters. So those are the actual wire sizes that you're using, the voltage drop that we're calculating that's going to be correct for your circuits. And then when you make changes in Design Master, those are going to update. So if we run the circuit edit, if we change it from a number 12 to a number 10 wire, that's going to update our wire size and our voltage drop. That's going to update here on the schedule as well. So that is how to use our shared parameters in Revit on the panel schedule. So we're using the Revit panel schedules, just our shared parameters, getting the right values in there. So then there's the question in the chat. Would you recommend to replace all the default Revit parameters to the Design Master ones? So you'll want to replace the Revit parameters that we have replaced. So that's mostly the mains type and the breaker rating for the panel itself. And then on the circuits, all of the wire sizing stuff, you would want to use our values because the Revit wire sizes are not going to be correct. Because Revit does display a wire size, but doesn't give you any control, and so we can't modify that. So you don't want to be displaying the Revit wire sizes. And then there's a follow-up question. What about combining a wire plus a conduit size on the schedule? And so then it becomes a matter of doing some work to get the right values in there. So if we wanted to do something like a combined wire size and a conduit size in a single column, if we come back to our circuit schedule here, we've got the wire size, and then we also have the conduit size. Let's find that one. Yeah, here it is. So here we've got the conduit size. So circuit conduit size, circuit conductor wire size. And then it's a matter of putting those two pieces together. And so we want to have this be wire size plus. Now we need to get this value to actually reflect that. We've got combined parameters and calculated values. Let's try combined parameters. I think we can make this work. And we will do the conduit wire size. And then we are going to do the, so that's the conductor wire size and then the conduit size. Okay, and then we can have our prefix, our suffix, and any sort of separator. And put a slash separator in there by default. We'll leave that. So we will finish template and see what happens. Change the template to use that update. And we're having a little bit of spacing issues, and I think I know what to do. So we will go back here one more time, and we need a little bit more space. So we'll pull some space from everything else so that that has sufficient room. Change the template. There we go. So now we have our conduit, our wire size and our conduit size being shown. So that's just hopefully a good way to highlight the fact that everything's in shared parameters. We did that on purpose because Revit works with shared parameters well. So then it's just a matter of using the shared parameters that we provide to display the information that you want on your panel schedules. So maybe you want to have wire size and conduit size in a column. You can do that using what Revit has made available to you. Thank you for watching today's Design Master training. Contact us with questions or comments by calling 866-516-9497 or emailing support@designmaster.biz.